All right, guys, now we're on to the B section of the melody, and this starts with a pickup in measure 10 going to measure 11. The difficulty with this part of the song is I've added a walking bass line to the melody. Remember, the secret is to practice slow. All right, so the first thing we're going to do in measure 10 is play 5, 4, 5 on the D string. After we play that 5, 4, 5, we're going to play an octave on the 5th fret of the E string going up to the 7th fret of the D string. And for the record, those notes are both A's. So I'm playing those two strings, the E string with my thumb and the D string with my pointer finger. Okay, so now we got to jump back a little bit. We're going to play the 3rd fret on the A string, the 6th fret on the A string, and then now we're going to play that octave again, this time separating the notes. So once again, that's 3rd fret of the A string, 6th fret of the A string, now 5th fret of the E string, and 7th fret on the D string. And that 7th fret is kind of anticipated. So it's a little quicker than the other notes. So let's do that whole phrase first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay? So the next measure, while you're still holding out that 7th fret, you're going to play the 5th fret on the A string, then you're going to play the 7th fret on the D string, then the 5th fret on the D string, and then the 7th fret on the D string again. So that sounds like. So far from measure 10, we've got this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that leads us to measure 13. In measure 13, we're going to play the 8th fret of the D string and the open G string at the same time, and I pluck these with my pointer finger and my middle finger. Okay, so after we've played that one time, we're just going to play the open G string by itself. So 8th fret on the D, open G, just to recap, then the open G by itself. Now we're going to play the 5th fret on the A string and the 6th fret on the E string. So this is measure 13 going into 14. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so measure 14 is pretty easy. We're just going to hop down to the 3rd fret of the E string. So that's the 3rd fret on the E string, then jump up to the 3rd fret on the G string, then the 2nd fret on the G string, then back to the 3rd fret on the G string. So measure 15, we're going to play the 3rd fret on the A string at the same time as the 5th fret on the G string. We're going to pluck those two strings. I like using my thumb and my middle finger together. Okay, so after we do that, we're going to go to the 6th fret on the A string, the 5th fret on the D string, and then the 4th fret on the D string. So this is measure 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of a weird shift because after we get done with that 4th fret, we're going to move our hand up to the 8th fret and the 7th fret. So that's the 8th fret on the A string and the 7th fret on the D string. We're going to play those at the same time here. So here's what this measure sounds like. So in measure 16, we're going to play the 8th fret on the A string, the 7th fret on the D string. We're going to play the 10th fret on the G string. Then let's play the 8th fret on the G string with the ring finger. Then we're going to slide that down so that we can do this chord where we play the 7th fret on the G string at the same time as the 6th fret on the E string. And I'm plucking those with my thumb and my middle finger. So that's kind of tricky. The other thing that's tricky about it is there's a little anticipation in the rhythm. So changing from the 8th fret to that chord is just a little quick. So be prepared for that. So next we're going to play the 5th fret on the A string, the 8th fret, then the 7th fret. All of that was on the A string. And then that takes us into measure 18, where we're going to play the 6th fret and the 5th fret at the same time. So if we were to go back to measure 16, we've got okay. So after that, we're going to do the 6th fret and the 5th fret on the A string and the D string. 6th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string. Now we're going to go up to the G string and play 7, 6, 7. That leads us into measure 19. So measure 19 is a little bit of a doozy because we've got a melody and the walking line going on at the same time for every note of the measure. So it's pretty tricky. So we've got the 5th fret on the E string at the same time as the 8th fret on the G string. And so I'm using my pointer finger for the 5th fret on the E string and my pinky for the 8th fret. Okay, so that's kind of a big stretch. So just get used to that. Sometimes it helps to have your thumb kind of behind either your index finger or where your middle finger would be, and then kind of moving your thumb down so that your hand curves more so you can get that stretch. Okay. The next thing that's going to happen is your pinky is going to stay put, but your middle finger this time is going to play the 8th fret on the E string. So just those two notes. I know it's kind of hard to see over there. My ring finger's just floating. It's not really doing anything. All right. So then next, we're going to go down to the 5th fret on the G string with our pointer finger and the 6th fret on the A string with our middle finger. And I'm just plucking those with my thumb and my middle finger again. And then after that, we're going to play the 5th fret on the D string at the same time as the 5th fret on the G string. So since this one's so tricky, let's do this one together. Slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So that was once again measure 19 on the music if you have the tab in front of you. So measure 20 is going to shift down. We're going to play the open D string at the same time as playing the 2nd fret on the G string. I'm just plucking those with my pointer and middle finger. Okay, so that measure is going to sound like this. Once again, the open D and the 2nd fret on the G string. Then the 4th fret on the D string. 7th fret on the D string. And 8th fret on the G string. So it requires a little bit of shifting to get up there. So now we're at measure 21. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do this whole phrase. This is 21 and 22 together. So that's going to be the 10th fret on the A string with my pinky, 7th fret on the G string with my pointer finger. So hit those at the same time and then do it again. So my thumb's playing the A string on my plucking hand. My middle finger is plucking the G string. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're just going to play 9, 9, 8, 8 on the A string. And I'm just plucking with my thumb. And then now we're sliding down to the 7th fret. You hit it one time, and then you're going to do the 7th fret on both the A and the D string together. I'm plucking them with my thumb and my pointer finger. So far we've got Okay, let's do that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that brings us to measure 23. I hope you're still with me. I know that was the really tricky part. The ending's a little bit tricky, but I think you're through the worst of it. Okay, so we've got the 6th fret on the A string and the 5th fret on the D and the G string. I bar the 5th fret on the D and the G string, which means my pointer finger kind of flattens out to play both of those. And then my 6th fret on the A string, I'm playing with my middle finger. So I'm plucking these 3 fingers, thumb, index, middle. And we're going to play that chord, then 6th fret on the A string, then we're going to slide down to the 3rd fret on the A string. Now we're going to do the 4th fret on the A string with our middle finger at the same time as the 3rd fret on the G string with our pointer finger. So this part's a little weird. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to do the 2nd fret on the G string at the same time as the 5th fret on the A string. So 2nd fret with our pointer finger on the G string and 5th fret with our pinky on the A string. So let's go, once again, that's from measure 23 going into the first note of 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. So what I said earlier, I take back. I think that's the hardest part of the song. All right. So after we do that, we're pretty much in the clear for just the last couple of measures. So after we do that, we hold that out for 2 beats. 1, 2. Then we go. So that's 3rd fret on the G string, skipping down to the 5th fret on the A string, and going really quickly on the upbeat to the 5th fret on the D string. Okay? And now we're at the last 2 measures. So the last 2 measures are something that we've kind of seen way earlier in the piece at the end of the A section. Okay? So what we're going to do there is after we've played the 5th fret on the D string, we're going to play the 5th fret on the A string, then the 6th fret on the E string, then really quickly we're going to go 5th fret 3rd on the E string. Okay? And after all of this, there's only one more step, and that's just to hit some harmonics, just for a little added extra bonus at the end of the song. So the way you do a harmonic is you touch the string lightly over the fret. So you're not pushing down, you're not pulling the string into the fingerboard at all. The strings are still floating, but your fingers are touching the strings lightly directly over the 5th fret, meaning the piece of metal. It's got to be right on top of the piece of metal. Just very lightly touching. And then what I'm doing is I'm plucking the D string with my pointer finger and the G string with my middle finger. So let's do that last phrase together. I'm going to start on measure 24 on the end of beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, guys, that's everything. I hope this lesson has been fun for you to learn. If you'd like, you can stay tuned for more on Stephen Cox Bass by hitting the subscribe button and then also hitting the notification bell.